All right. So
All right.
once again, we tried to get together with me and Dad are in this under the same roof. So we thought, let's go ahead and record together. We pulled up LJ on the Skype. Didn't work. Technology got the best of us. And we weren't able to record a full episode because me and Dad just aren't. LJ might be, but me and Dad just aren't smart enough to figure it out.
Wait a minute. Damn.
Well, I put me in that boat with you.
Okay.
We're both in this boat.
I mean, I'm basically an orangutan, so.
But what we have for you instead is we did throw a little something together about, our favorite zoo animals. And so we will have our normal episode. It should be up. That's not how. When will it be up? Do we know?
Wednesday, maybe? One day delayed?
Yeah, I mean, Wednesday's probably
Hey,
doable.
it'll be up when it gets up. Okay?
You're goddamn right.
I didn't say that, but it sounded like me.
So what you have here is just a little quick hitter for your ears. We'll be back Wednesday morning with your normal episode, just a day late and a dollar short. But as always, you can catch any of our older episodes at justpressplaypod.com or on our Facebook page, Just Press Play Podcast. So as always, keep hitting that button, guys.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, so let's get a caution. Dad, what you
Here we
got?
go. Here's a question. For whatever the reason, 2 unauthorized movies are made about your life. The first is an independently released documentary. Documentary?
I kind of say documentary.
Do you documentary?
How do you say it, LJ?
As opposed to a document bush.
Okay. All right.
All right, well, we'll get back to the caution.
The first is an independently released documentabus, primarily comprised of interviews with people who know you and bootleg footage from your actual life. Critics are describing the documentary as brutally honest and relentlessly fair. Meanwhile, Columbia TriStar has produced a big-budget biopic. Is that how you say that? Biopic?
Biopic.
Biopic.
I've heard biopic.
Biopic.
But yeah, biopic's what I was.
Big
I mean, no,
budget
legitimately. That's what
biopic
I've heard that a lot.
about your life.
That's what I've heard a lot.
Y'all are going to forget you're not going to know the question.
The problem not seeing LJ's face is I don't know if it's a sarcastic remark or if it's a serious. And he's a Lutheran, so there's a lot of sarcasm.
Okay, I'll try to finish right here.
That was serious.
Meanwhile,
I've heard that a lot.
Columbia TriStar has produced a big-budget biopic about your life, casting major Hollywood stars as you and all your acquaintances. Although the movie is based on actual events, screenwriters have taken some liberties with the facts. Critics are split on the artistic merits of the fictionalized account, but audiences love it. Which film would you be most interested in seeing? I guess that would be the biopic or the documentary bush, right? That's what it's asking, right?
So it sounds like the question is, would I rather see the truth or see something that's more entertaining but kind of fabricating? Now we're getting into the Brian Williams topic again.
Well,
Yeah.
we like storytellers.
Yeah.
Well,
But like also, okay, so my answer is definitely the big budget movie because I lived through the indie film documentary.
Right.
So I'm thinking I go big budget. I'd rather see like what fabrications make my life more interesting, I guess. The only cool thing about the low budget one is you get to get like more real opinions of people that you don't talk to about these sorts of things, I guess, which would be kind of cool. Or heartbreaking. I don't know. It might be awful.
Oh, exactly. So you would be interested in hearing the more sincere opinions of your true friends than...
I would find that to be interesting, but I think I'd still go with the Armageddon version of my life.
Yeah.
I think that'd be more fun to watch.
yeah, I agree. I think I would want to watch the big budget film, The Better Story, because I don't think my life would be that entertaining in the documentary. So let's spice it up a little bit.
I think with just a few liberties, if you took just a few liberties in my life, it could be really interesting.
Think so?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I could embellish just a little.
Sincerely don't doubt that.
There's a lot of humility here with the whole
Well,
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
there are a lot of stories that we probably can't even get into on the podcast that would make that movie really interesting. So
A triple Whopper with cheese.
cheese.
Hey, if you had to choose your favorite animal at a zoo, what do you go with?
First thing comes to mind, off the dome.
Off the dome.
Yeah.
That's how I like it when Pops is off the dome.
Orangutan off the dome.
Why?
really,
Because they're so agile and they can hang and move so easily, and they're the closest probably to us. They show emotions in
that's
their
the thing.
face.
that's why I hate any of the monkey or gorilla houses at the Lincoln Park Zoo, is because they feel like legitimately like we locked up stupid people. Or something like that.
Boy, I'm never gonna be able to look at monkeys ever again.
I think
That's why I
some
go with,
monkeys are a
like-
lot smarter than some stupid people I know.
Well, I'm not saying the stupidest people. They're stupider that aren't in those zoo cages. But
Okay, LJ, then your favorite animal.
my legitimate favorite individual animal is I always go to the camel pen at Lincoln Park Zoo because there's a camel named Alexander Camelton.
Yeah, and that's the best name ever given to any
so he's
animal.
my hero. But I would say not the monkey house and not the cat house, because they're all in like really small, like you see like a puma and like a really tiny cage just pacing around. So I think we've got this big polar bear place, and that's pretty cool to see a polar bear wandering around.
You know,
That's
it's
one of
funny.
my answer.
My initial thought, like when I first thought about this, I thought I've always really liked lions, and I think it's because I like Lion King. But
Yeah.
at a zoo, a lion is a boring ass animal.
Yeah, they
just
suck.
sit
They
there.
suck.
They lay there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like your pet
One
cat.
time I caught one roaring,
mean-
and it was the neatest thing because it was actually doing a thing.
Now that is cool.
Otherwise,
I've only seen a video. Obviously, I'm not seeing it in person. But when a lion is roared like a real roar, it was
Oh, yeah.
so cool. But if you go to zoo, it's just like your pet cat, and they every now and then they want to be loved, but for the most part, they just want to sit there and mind their own business, and you mind your own. It's boring.
I hear your line, and I raise you a polar bear. I think polar bears are pretty cool.
Well, I wasn't saying
Yeah.
lions my favorite. That's what I initially would have
Oh,
thought.
right.
But I
Yeah,
think
right.
lions. I think polar bears are cool. I really like the penguins. They're fun.
yeah, penguins are fun.
But my favorite, I'm torn between. There's just big old gorillas are fun because it's really just funny. Last time I saw a big old gorilla, it literally pooped in its hand and then smushed it on the glass window in front of all of us, and it was hilarious.
Well, and a big gorilla, just a big old silverback, he'll just sit there and start masturbating.
I mean, they're just
They don't care.
We were talking about earlier before we started recording. We were talking about the guy at the gym who just doesn't care what anyone thinks, and a gorilla could give two shits what you think about him.
Oh my god.
If it wants to shit, it's gonna shit. If it wants to shit in its hand, it's gonna shit in its hand. But my favorite, I just like observing them because it's fun to me. But the smaller, I think it's like a spider monkey, the ones that like dangle and like go from tree to tree.
Yeah.
It's just, and they actually will use their tail kind of to dangle from spots.
I was kind of alluding to them with orangutan. I think there are spider
Yeah.
monkeys. I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, I still feel like they're too similar to me, and maybe that's not a compliment to myself, but they are like, I don't know. I
Damn
look
it,
at 'em and I
LJ!
think,
Now every
man,
time I
that
want to go
sucks.
see orangutans, I'm gonna think of a dumb person just being locked up.
Or LJ, they're similar
actually,
to
I
him,
just-
so
Yeah,
same thing.
just imagine me in there, and it'll be a lot more fun again, because it'll feel worth it. But I think I like the birdhouse too. I just remembered there's like
There's
a
peaceful
kingfisher
and
bird
tranquil.
that's super cool that I really like. They're beautiful, and they seem to have enough room to just kind of free fly. I don't know. I like those. So I guess maybe that's my new answer. Because the polar bears also, a polar bear needs a huge space, so it's kind of hard to spot the polar bear a lot of times because you have to walk around this like
I got
almost acre yard.
I got another one to throw in. When you said takes up a lot of space, giraffes are amazing.
I'm glad we
They
went there.
are.
That's where
They're
I wanted
super
to go
cool.
next.
That big old neck, they're so tall.
You ever seen a giraffe drink water?
Yeah.
It's awkward.
It's gotta be.
Well, they're very vulnerable. I mean, they.
Oh, have you ever seen? I know LJ has. I believe
A
it.
giraffe fight?
Giraffe fights.
Oh
are
man,
Yes.
we got to put one of those on our site. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
If this gets posted, then the show notes will have a video of giraffe fights, and once
Oh,
you see it, you
man.
Oh my
can't
God,
unsee it.
they
It's
will.
amazing.
Yes, it's
amazing.
They
unbelievable.
just whip their necks at each other.
It's the first thing I ever saw on YouTube, and it just cemented that as a website I was going to go to a lot in my life.
I know. I think it was when YouTube like first started really becoming big, and LJ was like, "You have to watch this video. It's a giraffe fighting." And your first thought's like, "Oh, that doesn't sound intriguing," but when you see it, you're like, "Next video, please."
Yeah,
I need giraffe fighting into my veins. That's kind of weird. Now we're getting into like the Mike Vick of giraffes. Like maybe I started up there.
Oh, hey, can we just real quick while we're just like bullshitting? So this TBT thing, you guys haven't like you don't know anything about it?
So you're not referring to the big three that Ice Cube started.
No,
up
I just heard about
on
that when you
Fox.
thought that that's what I was talking about. That's the first time I ever heard of that.
Well, they call it TBT, but I think I know what you're talking about. But
So there's this
not fully.
There's this tournament going on ESPN, like maybe right this second. But I saw it at the gym and I was like, what's going on here? And it's a 5-on-5, 72 team
There's
tournament.
a team Arkansas.
Where the premise is you can get in. There are like 4 ways to get in. You can buy your ticket for $5,000. And it's like the first 4 in each region to do that. Get in, period. You get in for being the champion of your region last year. You get in for there's like 2 at-large teams, but like the biggest group is the 9 teams that are the most popular on their website, have the most fans. And so like it's kind of a weird like social media March Madness where like we were talking about do you want what's his name that we were talking about in college basketball, like do you want his team in even if he's just the one guy?
Oh, about when we did the Trae Young
Yeah.
conversation.
Do you let his team in even if they're not better than another team? This is a tournament that's completely around letting, a player like Trae Young get in. And so it's like it's just
Unashamedly.
yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, is they let in 9 teams per region that are just based on maybe star power, or maybe, they have some awesome and one videos or something like that, or it's just all a popularity contest to get into the tournament, and then you play legit basketball to actually go home with $2 million.
Hot sauce definitely needs to be on a team.
Well, I can say that if I was to get in this basketball tournament, it'd probably be based on popularity.
And that's the thing is,
if it was based on my basketball acumen,
in theory, what could happen, because like this is a league where there's a $2 million prize for winning it, and you split it between like the GM and the 15 players or something like that. And so it's really kind of a huge prize if you win it, but it's winner take all. There's no prize for second place. And as if you guys needed to know what winner take all means, I guess.
Thanks for elaborating.
But so you have guys that are like super talented, and just barely didn't make the cut in the NBA, or like got hurt their senior year of college and didn't enter the draft, or something like that. And so they're still super talented. And then you have teams that could be made up of anything, and they just got in through popularity. And so like there is in theory a way. I looked up the South region. The highest number of fans that they had that got one of the teams in was like 1,000 or something. So if we could get like a team of 15 people together with us 3, and then got like 1,000 fans, we could play against like former NCAA stars and just get our ass whooped on live TV. It would just be super. But I don't know. It's cool. I'm interested.
There
in
is
that.
something to. I think there's a lot of really, really good athletes that never made it.
Yeah.
One way or another, like these ex-college players. There's a lot of kids that didn't even go college. But like some of the best people I've ever seen on a driveway never played organized basketball.
Yeah.
I have
Well, and
something
then
to say to that.
you also have like, I think what could make this league this tournament one of the biggest tournaments outside of the NBA is if you hold it like 2 months earlier. Because if it's right before the NBA draft, then you have foreign players like joining teams of this tournament to show off for the NBA scouts and stuff like that. Like I just think
to showcase their.
Oh man, I think you could make this thing huge if you hold it 2 months earlier. Like mind-blowingly huge.
What were you gonna throw in, Dad?
Well, when you were talking about talented, like I was thinking athletes that did nothing with it, there was a guy named Rod B that I went to school with. And I believe that I think he died in the pen. Maybe the best basketball player I've ever well, not that I've ever seen. I've seen Sidney Moncrief and Michael Jordan.
Right,
I think
sure.
he's better than him. Okay, but I mean,
Serious talent.
serious talent. I mean,
Yeah.
unstoppable,
Yeah.
unstoppable. But he just his intelligence level. I don't know. I don't know what was his problem, but he was. He got in trouble with the law a lot.
Yeah.
He got thrown in jail. Never played on the high school basketball team.
Wow.
But boy, maybe the most talented person I've literally played with, on a court with.
So,
Yeah.
question for y'all.
Yeah.
Is he born where he just can't help, like, it naturally he gets in trouble with the law, like he just turns towards that type of thing, or is it his environment? Like,
That's a
where he
really
was
good
raised in?
question.
I think a lot was his environment. I think his parental structure was probably not that good.
I wonder if
it was basically there was none.
I've been listening to this episode of Radio Lab, which is, again, like I always do, I guess. But they're talking
I
about
gotta check that out. He's mentioned it a few times.
do it. But one episode they're talking about testing for women or men in the Olympics. Like men trying to sneak into the women's events, which like doesn't really happen. Anyway, this one woman got not accepted into the Olympics because her testosterone level was too high, which it turns out can happen. That's not necessarily an indicator of anything. But so she went to court talking about how if you're trying to eliminate disadvantages that people might have based off of testosterone levels, then like, it might be more of a disadvantage is like I was born in a village and I'm competing against people that have been, practicing in Colorado Springs for like 10 years. And, so the advantages you get from just being born in the right place, like it's just amazing how lucky some people get and how some unlucky people, like you're talking about, might never be able to use the gifts that they've been given.
That's what's crazy is John Doe, like the best athlete Dad's ever played with. If he would have just been born into a different family or a different family adopted him, like who knows?
Yeah.
That might be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's Michael Jordan, but it might be a pro basketball player and set up his family forever. And it was just environment.
It could have at least gotten him a college education.
Yeah.
He was that good for real.
Yeah.
And he just was not prepared for it in any way, shape, form, or fashion with his upbringing.
Yeah.
And that's unfair. But it is what it is. Life's not fair.
Life's not fair. I mean, it isn't. And that's hard to accept, but also it's just a fact. The other thing that's really interesting to me is like only so many people make it to a pro league. So like somebody who barely didn't get drafted is still like so many heads and shoulders above like anybody else you've ever seen in person. Like it's
I think it'll blow
ridiculous
people's
how much
mind.
better.
I mean, I've a guy that went to PG and went to Arkansas to play basketball. Barely. I mean, he got on the court, but not much. He was just a role player. But if he shows up to the gym out here, he's running it. I mean, he is the cream of the crop, and he wasn't a star in college. Like, and that's just the guy that couldn't really be a star player at Arkansas. Think of the people that weren't quite good enough to get to the NBA. I just think we don't realize how good the pros are.
It's a different level. It's a complete different level.
The 7th best Jayhawk or the 7th best Blue Devil is like so much better than like anybody you've ever played with.
A description of a pro athlete I heard one time that was it rang true is there's something a way the cream of the crop, the best athletes that are professional, like when they run, like we run, when they run, it's like they glide. Yeah, like they don't actually hit the ground. I don't know, it's crazy. And it's just a different level of athlete.
Have you seen a real, and I know you have, but sometimes you can see a real athlete just walking. And it's just they do it with a glide and an ease that we don't.
There's just something. Yeah. Are they just born?
There's some of that.
Because I know like LeBron has worked way harder to be good at basketball than I have probably to do anything. But he also was just born with more gifts than me. He just also
I mean, to be able to go to the NBA after your senior year of high school and to even be talking about it your sophomore year of high school or whatever. Yeah, you were born with some serious gifts, but like also if he didn't do anything with those gifts, it's not like, he might still make it to the NBA, but he'd never be anywhere close to what he is now. I mean, there's a lot of both in athletics. It's kind of crazy to think about.
You look, the best basketball player, or maybe the guy that just made the team at UFAS, would come
Yeah.
on the court with us
Yeah.
and rule.
Yeah.
And he's at
Yeah.
UA Fort Smith, for God's sake.
Playing for
play
the
basketball.
JUCO championship. Like, not
Yeah.
even in the 128 teams that play for
Right.
the Final Four.
He would
Yeah.
own the court. Like I know that's
What, like 60 players get drafted every year or something like that in
Right.
the NBA? Like, an obscenely small number for the amount of talent. Like, there are more than 60 teams in the damn March Madness tournament. So, the best player on every team doesn't even get taken, and it's even less than that, obviously, because some teams have like 2 or 3 people get taken. So
That's what
it's
makes
just
the March
absurd to
Madness
think.
so damn fun. Is the guy?
Yeah.
Shoot, I can't remember his name, but the Pitt Snoggle Award winner this year. He's
Krutwig?
not going to make it to the NBA.
Cameron, the guy for
Krutwig.
Chicago.
Krutwig.
Yeah.
Shout
It's
out.
It's his one shining moment. It's
But
the
he was
song
a
they got.
freshman. No, he's got 3 more years.
Well,
Well,
this
if
isn't-
Loyola
this
can
isn't
make
a-
it back ever again, like, that could just be a fluke. Who knows if they'll ever even have a chance
but
for
that's what
him to
makes
get
it
on
so.
that stage.
And I know me and Dad always get whenever we talk about professionals. And that one time that we sat really close at an NBA game, we realized Steve Nash was.
This always comes up, but
It always comes up. But I'm just saying, when you watch any kind of game, NBA, NFL, soccer, it's always. I mean, you can tell they're talented, but they're up against the best of the best also. So you can't gauge it. Like, if that person ran next to one of us, I mean,
Yeah. It's another world. It's like an alien. It would be like an alien.
Yeah.
running
I
next-
remember we went to a Mavericks game like in 2008 or something, and I don't even know if you remember this guy, Dad, but Eric Dampier. He was
Oh,
a
yeah.
center. Yeah.
He went to Mississippi State. Come on, don't do
Okay.
Give me something, whatever.
So he couldn't. We overpaid for him at
Yes.
Dallas, and he couldn't really score that well. He was just a big old body. But if you go pregame and watch him, I watched him hit like 23s in a row. Like, he could really shoot. He could kind of handle the ball compared to me and you, not compared to Jason Kidd and Darren Williams and
Sure.
the best of the best. But it just blew my mind. Like, what I think of him as a guy who cannot shoot, and
Yeah.
he actually.
Can.
Yeah, I mean, just they shoot, 10% with the best players in the world around them. I shoot 10% in the gym by myself, No, I can't do this. I can't listen. I
Yeah.
don't even know what the first part of Dad's story or the question was, because I was trying to decide which Dad I was listening to. The one in my headphones or the one in person.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work. I still think this is kind of fun, and I might save it just as like a hey, we had a terrible recording setup, but I want you guys to hear us talk about document bushes and bio.
I totally concur. I think this has been fun, but I just for an hour, I think
This
I'll
could
blow
be
my
a-
brains
yeah,
out.
Could be
this
a
would be
quick hitter.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.